So how is it that we're still here? It's one thing to convince the bank not to foreclose, but we still have expenses. We still have utilities, maintenance, and cleaning. And as you know, last year when we raised $500,000 in a line of credit financing, of which many of you participated, we ran out of those funds in December. At that time, Inga chose to buy $200,000 worth of my shares. They were in effect worthless at that point, and she chose to do that anyway. She asked me to continue, and in fact in January we went to India together and spent the better part of the month. And in that time I became clear that it really didn't make sense to continue. And that's when I communicated with you that I didn't see a way to turn this around, and that we needed to shut down, and that this would be a complete loss for all of us. Inga continued, as did other investors, quietly, lovingly, to do what I could. I chose to continue against all odds, and believe me, they are still against us. But it is still a miracle that we are still here. In fact, that I am still here, and this property is still in our ownership. And I've decided, as long as that is the case, we've come this far, and I am not going to give up now. I need to see this through to its finality. And that's the course that we're on. And it is definitely not over. Of course, I cannot give you really any certainty. In fact, I don't want you to have high hopes. I just need you to know that there are still efforts underway to continue some of your interests, albeit very uncertain and very unlikely. As long as Inga continues to support me, I will support you. Now, the ways in which I've been able to offset some of those expenses and simply not drain all of our reserves has been to rent the property. Once I realized the bank would not quickly foreclose, I made steps to advertise the property for tenants. I've also begun communicating and advertising to clients who might be interested in renting the property short term. Primarily those look like weddings right now, and we have many booked at the moment. And those bring us revenue, and any revenue extends our life here. It buys us time, and time is good. Time gives me room to negotiate. It gives me leverage. It keeps us in the game. And so time is on our side. Anything fast here would be a loss. It is very important for me and for us that I keep this alive as long as possible. That does give us many options, and I am using those options to find a way to carry us over. In fact, it'd be ideal, although we're not there yet, to be in a holding pattern, in a steady state where our expenses are covered. We're not there, and it's difficult to get there because at any moment the bank could file a notice of default, which would begin the foreclosure clock, and that clock is only 4 months long. So it's challenging to take any reservations outside of 4 months. That limits our clientele. But it all helps. My job is to stay in as long as possible. Now, some of you may not care. And in fact, in many cases, it may be better to take the loss. In fact, this would make tax reasons, it might make more sense. Well, you can do that. You don't need me to fail. You don't need this to fail. At any moment, since most of you, anyone who participated in the B or C rounds, you really made a loan. If you look at your paperwork, you signed a convertible promissory note, which never converted, so technically it's a loan. You can retire that loan at any point and simply call it bad debt. You can take a complete loss and a complete write-off. You don't have to make that decision. You have until April of next year. We will have a much better picture of how this turned out at that time, and you can make that choice. But for now, I'm still here, and it is still worth it, and this gives all of us better choices. And that's why I continue my efforts.